Cindy Abrams versus George Brunemann and your gun rights in House District 29. Hi folks, I'm Chris Dorr. I'm the Director for Ohio Gun Owners, and in this video, I'm going to detail the differences between your two candidates who are running to represent you as the Republican nominee for House District 29 State Representative. Currently, you've got incumbent Representative Cindy Abrams, and she is being challenged by George Brunemann. We're going to break down where they are, but if you don't want to watch this whole video, and you want me to skip to the point, I'm going to tell you right now. Cindy Abrams has a huge list of anti-gun actions that she has objectively taken against your gun rights as a state representative. But on the other hand, George Brunemann, he is surveyed with Ohio gun owners 100% in favor of your gun rights. He's promising to be a stalwart fighter for gun rights if you guys elect him to be your Republican nominee. With that, I'm going to jump into the nuts and bolts of this and break down these two candidates, and we're going to start with Representative Cindy Abrams, your incumbent. Now, right here is a list of all the issues that we know they're going to face as a state legislator if they get elected. I'm going to start with this first one here. The Ohio Second Amendment Preservation Act. It's currently going through the Ohio General Assembly. It's called House Bill 51. And this bill is a fantastic piece of legislation. It's probably the most important piece of pro-gun legislation because of what it accomplishes. Simply put, it makes sure that Ohio cops can never be forced to enforce federal gun control laws. And I'm talking about Joe Biden's or any future anti-gun presidential administration or any anti-gun legislation that might get passed by Congress. Well, the Ohio Second Amendment Preservation Act says that Ohio cops are not going to join with the ATF in the enforcement of that stuff. Cindy Abrams is without question the #1 vocal opponent of SEPA law in the Ohio General Assembly. It's very, very alarming. We also surveyed Representative Abrams on all the other issues that we know that they're going to be facing in the next couple of years. Universal gun registration. They want to track, trace, and register gun owners like we're a bunch of sex offenders. Joe Biden screams about it every time he gets in front of a news camera. Universal gun, red flag gun confiscation. We've fought this at the state level. We've fought it at the federal level. What red flag laws are is this. They are drone strikes on the due process rights of gun owners. The radical left wants to be able to take away your guns without ever charging, trying, or convicting you of a crime. They want to simply issue a decree by a liberal black-robed magistrate, and you're stuck with it. Your civil rights are gone, and that's what red flags are. She refuses to go on record in opposition to red flag laws. It's a big fat problem if you love your guns or you love due process rights. AR-15 bans, she wouldn't come out against those. Stand your ground overhaul. Ohio has made some progress in the last couple of years when it comes to self-defense rights, but current law has it so that you can still get Kyle Rittenhoused. Political prosecutors like Cuyahoga County, Hamilton County, Franklin County, a lot of these big urban counties have very liberal prosecutors that would love to go after gun owners that are forced to use a firearm for self-defense. We want to overhaul that. We want to make sure that there's limitations on these prosecutors so that they have to meet a burden of proof before they're allowed to go ahead with a prosecution. She refused to come out in support of that, as well as constitutional carry. Right now in Ohio, we have a situation where you're only allowed to use a handgun if you want to conceal carry it or in your vehicle or something like that. We think you should be able to use whatever legally owned tool that you own in order to defend yourself. Cindy Abrams, again, would not come out in support for that. She failed her entire Ohio Gun Owners 2024 candidate questionnaire. That's a big fat problem if you love gun rights. But it gets worse than that. It gets a lot worse than that because Cindy Abrams is in bed with the political law enforcement associations in Ohio that have historically opposed every single gun rights bill ever introduced. They've opposed concealed carry back in 2004. They've opposed constitutional carry. They've opposed stand your ground law, and they're opposing SEPA law, this one right here. They're opposing that right now. Cindy Abrams is very much tethered with these organizations in her opposition. The Fraternal Order of Police is perhaps the biggest gun control lobby in the Ohio General Assembly. Cindy Abrams, she got Legislator of the Year award from the Fraternal Order of Police for her opposition to some of the gun rights bills that are working their way through the Ohio General Assembly. She was the only, right here, she was the only Republican in the entire House of Representatives that year, I think it was 2020, to vote no on House Bill 425, which repealed the duty to notify law and reset Ohio law to the default that it is in most Republican states, where police have to ask you if you're carrying a firearm. She is the only Republican to side with those people, the gun control lobby, to vote no on that. She voted yes on House Bill 123. Folks, this is nasty language. It's a nasty bill that got enacted. And what it does is it allows gun control organizations like Sandy Hook Promise and Moms Demand Action to come into our school systems and teach social inclusion and social indoctrination programming to our students, literally giving the enemy access to our children. Very, very bad stuff when she voted yes on House Bill 123. You can go further than this. These are all the objective things that you can look up. Anybody can look up about Representative Cindy Abrams. But when you follow the money, take a deep dive on who she's getting her money from. She's got thousands of dollars from the Ohio Fraternal Order of Police, the gun control lobby. She's got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of money coming into her campaign account from entities all over the country: Georgia, Florida, Washington, D.C., Colorado, Texas. All these special interest groups from all over the country are flooding her campaign account with campaign cash. It's very, very bad news. Last but not least, I'm going to throw this in there because I think these things matter, because it goes to the kind of character that you have as a legislator. Cindy Abrams is known throughout the entire Republican caucus in the Ohio House as having the most foul mouth of any of the Republicans. And I myself have witnessed this. I don't get insulted by this, but when I found out that she was standing up in caucus and talking against the Second Amendment Preservation Act, we did a video about it. And then when I saw her right outside the House chamber, she walked right up to me and she's like, "You Dorr, you Dorr." And it's just very unbecoming. It's absolutely preposterous. I know that she stands up in caucus and frequently has the most vulgar mouth of anybody there. I don't know what more I can say about Cindy Abrams. She certainly embodies what you kind of think of when you think of like a Karen in the Ohio General Assembly. So she has a huge record of voting against your gun rights, of opposing pro-gun bills, of refusing to take a stand against gun control bills. All this stuff is very alarming. Let's jump over to the other side real quick. George Brunemann. George Brunemann is challenging her. I've spoken with him on the phone. Honestly, this guy's like a breath of fresh air. One thing I really enjoyed when I talked with him was that he seemed to have an understanding of the culture war that we're in. He understands that the radical left is tearing down every vestige of Western and Christian civilization that you can think of. And he understands that the Second Amendment is the one right that is protecting all of our other freedoms. So when it comes to this list right here, George Brunemann aced it all. He is totally in favor of the SAPA law, House Bill 51. He'll vote yes on it. Universal gun registration, totally opposed to it. Red flag gun confiscation, totally opposed. AR-15 bans, absolutely not. He definitely understands that we need to overhaul both of these, the constitutional carry and stand your ground statutes. You got to make hay while the sun is shining. He aced his entire Ohio gun owners candidate questionnaire for 2024, and we're very happy that he did. We put together this information so that you guys can do a couple of things. First of all, we want you to be able to make better educated decisions about who you want representing you at the Ohio State House when it comes to this very important issue of gun rights. So there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, if you see George Brunemann on the campaign trail, thank him. Thank him for having the courage of his conviction to be able to willing to go on record on these issues and then answering every single one of our questions 100%. That's fantastic. The other thing you can do is if you see Cindy Abrams anywhere out on the campaign trail, it's very simple what she needs to do. She needs to apologize to gun owners for several years of consistent and dedicated attacks against our gun rights. If you see her, tell her to apologize. It's really easy too. All she has to do is come out with a video on her Facebook page, and we'll share it. We'll share it right here on Ohio Gun Owners Facebook page. All she has to do is come out with a video and say, I renounce my FOP Legislator of the Year award. I'm giving that back to them. I don't need that. And I apologize for all of these other things. And I'm going to fill out the Ohio Gun Owners Candidate Survey, go on record on all these things just like George Brunemann did. It's very simple. A very few legislators make no mistakes when it comes to your gun rights. Cindy Abrams, I'll just grab this for you here. You guys can see her yourself. Cindy Abrams has made a litany of mistakes over the years, and she needs to come clean about them. So if you see her on the campaign trail, tell her to apologize for many years worth of attacks against our gun rights. Tell her to go on record and apologize for everything that she's done. Last but not least, share this video with everybody that you know who loves the Second Amendment, who understands that it's the one freedom that protects all of the rest of them. And then on March 19th, please go to the polls, grab your friends and family, take them down there with you, go to the polls and vote pro-gun.